Is it cool? Cool! Yeah!
Yeah, we're gonna have our own food. High five, Michael.
Give mommy a high five.
Give me high five, Michael.
Yeah! Man!
Cool. Hey y'all, got my little gloves on, got my garden going. You see a little update here. We have a crate that me and Paul made for our straw, and I'm transplanting some of my peppers right now. Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. So before you plant, you have to condition your straw bales, and it takes about 12 days in total to do that. And it's pretty much like you add some fertilizer and you water it. And I guess when I had to do the watering process, Mother Nature helped out because it was pouring down raining. So all I had to do is pretty much come out here and add my fertilizer. And I think on day 11 you let it rest, you add some plant food, and then day 12 you're ready to plant. But it took us a little bit of time to plant our stuff. This is probably day 20. But we wanted to build our crate here for it. That way when our straw breaks down, it's already its own composting system, and I have something that catches all that in. Because I didn't understand what I was going to do as far as like straw was going to be everywhere on the balcony. But now we have the crate, so that works out. So I'm going to transplant another pepper plant. I've digged a good little hole here so it can go into my straw. And in the straw bales, it needs to be about 12 inches apart. So I got my measuring tape.
For the peppers.
For the peppers, I'm making sure they're a good 12 to 15 inches apart. So I'm going to go ahead and put another pepper in here. So I go over to my little greenhouse here. And my plants have been, what is the word, the terminology, the correct terminology? Hardened off. I pretty much harden them off in my greenhouse, and during the day I will have the cover open and they're exposed to the sun, and this is pretty much its endpoint where it got the most direct sun. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some peppers. And I'm picking the best peppers that I guess have grown and the thickest so far. And these are all of my peppers except for this little tomato plant here. But I think I'm going to go with this one. This one seems the thickest out of the rest of them. I have plenty left over, so you know, I got to give some away. Food should be free. Alright, where? Okay, I got my little popsicle stick with my peppers, and when they were first started out, I'm just going to go ahead and loosen up the soil and just go around. And then I'm going to dump it over, grab my pepper plant, place it right on down in there. And I have more potting soil, so I'll probably add a little bit more potting soil to it. That way the soil comes up to the first set of leaves. So I'll build it up a little bit more. But here we go, the beauty. It's beautiful.
So the first crate we built without the camera. We want to make sure we got everything right and all the measurements were okay. So that will be another project that we'll show you, is how to build the crates for the straw bale system, like Katia said, because once the straw bale over time will start to decompose, that crate will help catch some of that decomposition. So she's over here getting the potting soil ready.
Yeah, I'm going to add some potting soil to pretty much these empty locations here, and I'll plant my broccoli and some onions in those locations. You know, just kind of alternate. I'll probably do maybe like 2 or 3 broccoli plants, and onions you can pretty much, they don't require so much space, so I'm going to fill in the gaps with my onion. But I started them off, let me show you. I did them a little differently. I started them off in its own little mini greenhouse. So I use coffee filters within plastic bags, put the seeds in, and they have been growing. So they're really good and ready to pretty much go in some soil. And I'll pick the best ones out of here to put in the soil. You probably have to put a good amount, so that way the weak ones you can kind of pick off. I do have some broccoli that I did start. Not quite sure on those just because they're a little leggy. I didn't have enough light initially, so they're very leggy, and I'm not quite sure if they'll survive in the straw bale. They may be kind of conditioned to being in a pot. Go ahead and add my potting mix. When you start anything off in seeds or seedlings, you need to have potting mix with your straw bale. Since my straw has been sitting for a while, it may be okay to directly plant it inside, but I'm just going to be safe because usually the decomposition is going to heat up these straw bales and it's going to be very hot, and your seedlings are not going to like very hot, I guess, you know, temperatures. But the best thing is to start it off with potting mix.
So what are you doing here?
Just laying out my potting mix over here on the spots that are kind of, you know, have empty space.
Yeah.
And you want to build it up a good inch or two. I'll add some water in here as soon as I have it all built up. That way when I plant out my broccoli and onion here, they'll have a better chance of surviving. And I'll add a little plastic tray to you just want to build it up a good inch or two. That way I can plant it directly. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to add my broccoli and onion seedlings in there. Try to make a good little hole for my broccoli seedlings. I'll probably only do maybe 2 in the bales. Spacing wide. Let's see.
So that's broccoli?
Yeah, this is broccoli. And I've got a fair amount of these in here. Only difficult part will be because these tend to want to grow to the paper. She'll be very gentle, and if you can't separate it, you can just take a piece of the coffee filter and plant it in there. But there you go, there's your broccoli plant. I'll just add just a little more here.
Let me see the point.
Make sure our roots are down. And just cover. What I'm gonna do is probably plant a couple more here. That way we'll see how it grows and I'll choose the best one for it.
Natural selection.
Plenty there. I'm gonna add 2 here. We'll see which one takes off better and then just thin them out. So we'll go ahead and lay it in there and add our soil up to those leaves there. These are my onion plants.
Same system?
Same system, yeah. They don't have to be as far spaced out, but I added 3 per little section. That way we'll get them going and then I'll thin them out to whichever ones take off. And I guess with the rest of the locations I'll probably add transplant some basil and stuff in there. Just because you can kind of add in different things. It's just your main plants. You want to make sure they're equally spaced out. Your peppers here, and then of course your broccoli, you want to kind of make sure they're equally spaced out. So I could probably do, you know, 2 that'll take off here, 1 that'll take off here, 1 will take off here. Of course, these that are right here are going to be smaller heads. The closer they're planted together, the smaller the broccoli crown will be. So we have like 2 good sized ones, and maybe small ones here. And then I'll add in my onions on this side. The onions only need to be about 2 inches apart. And then I'll plant some basil and other little things in here. You want to maximize your space as much as possible. I'll use this as my guide. We see our seed head is still there, and this is our root system. So you want to plant it the same way you did your broccoli. Plant that down. Another one. Plant the root down. And put a basil plant right here, just because I have the space, so might as well. And it won't take up as much space as the peppers require. Okay, guys. You have to recycle sometimes, you know. Super wide birthday cups. But add this in here. And these are not as deep as my pepper plants, but I need to just
You can build it up.
Build it up a little bit. Soil around it. Because I don't know if you guys can see on the camera, but that was where my first set of leaves were. You can see that. Okay, so since everything is planted, my onions and my broccoli, because they are seedlings, they need to be covered and have like a little greenhouse system going. So this is leftover from some cake we had in the store, but you know, you reuse and reduce and recycle. So it's perfect size to keep on top of my 2 broccoli plants that are here.
Yeah, so they're underneath.
And I have my other tops from my seed starter trays, and we're just gonna cover that up on my onions here. Probably it's not gonna be exactly fitting, but it's enough to cover them.
So why do you have to cover it?
Because they're young plants and they need to be covered a little bit from the
Survive.
from the outside environment for survival, just because they were started within like a greenhouse system indoors. Now even if you were to come out here and you plant them, you know, from seed, majority of the time you don't have to cover it because it's not a 50 40 degree weather day. For some reason it's cold here, so I'm just gonna cover it just to be on the safe side. And plus they were started inside. And I mean, once they kind of kick off and they start going, they'll be fine. I'll take the cover off them. And I have my little sign here. And it says sweet peppers, and I put the date on when I first started it, 3/11, on Michael's birthday. Me and Michael came out here and started our seeds. So, just gonna stick that in my straw. Since I do have little sticks saying like sweet pepper and your popsicle stick saying basil, with the crates, if you decide to plant all one type of plant in here, what we have is a board on the outside that, I mean, eventually I will do this, but I'm going to cover it in chalkboard paint, and then I can put on exactly what's in this crate. So say this whole thing is full of peppers, I can say sweet peppers across here. But this we just built today, so we haven't painted it yet to do that.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, you know, Paul will try to do a DIY project. Maybe without my help, who knows? And thanks.
Don't let her fool you. I made the crate and did all the measurements and stuff, so.
It took him a long time in Lowe's hardware store coming up with his little calculations, but it came together. Just remember, stay tuned for that next video. Who knows when it'll come up, y'all.
Freezing.
It's cold and it's been a rough couple of weeks for me, but we're not even going on that.
Is it cool?
Cool.
Cool. Is it? What do you? What kind of? What? Cool.
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 We're gonna pick some peppers soon.
You want to help mommy do the other
We're
one?
gonna pick peppers. Yeah.
Yep, broccoli, basil, sweet peppers. There's gonna be a bunch of stuff.
They're plants. Yeah.
Plants. Yeah, plants. Yeah.